I'm here with James from Metropolitan Commercial Bank, and he's going to help us to understand what role a bank plays on the EB-5 industry.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Banks are very important in the EB-5 space here, especially a bank that has a dedicated EB-5 platform, because we've built out the internal mechanisms from compliance to legal to BSA and AML requirements. The regulators understand working with EB-5 is very unique, so having a bank that really understands it allows projects to send investors to us and know that we will be in this space and we will be able to continue to operate for the length of their program, as well as for the repayment of their program. I think is also very important. A lot of people miss that point. When a project completes and gets repaid, you're able to bring those funds back and then actively give that money back to investors. So having a bank that understands and is dedicated to the EB-5 space, tremendously important for projects and for project success.
And James, you were talking to me before about the protection for the investor, about the escrow money. How does it work?
Yeah, sure. So while we all understand that escrow is not a dedicated requirement inside of the RIA and inside the EB-5 space, it's become kind of the industry standard and the industry norm. I think it's very important for projects to use escrow. Now, not everybody does, and it's totally reasonable, but escrow provides an extra layer of protection. So that is a bank's paramount protocol inside of the EB-5 space. Obviously, we want a project to be very successful, but our role is to protect the investors first and foremost. So when an investor hits an escrow account with their funds, they are protected in a sense where the NCE and the NCE manager do not have direct access to their money. So example, if somebody decides that they've chosen a project, they wire their funds in on Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're not using an escrow account and the provisions are not set up correctly, then that NCE may have access to that money at 2:05 p.m. And once that money goes out into commerce, out into the world, extremely difficult for that investor to ever get it back. So by using an escrow, there's a third party that's inside that allows the investor protection in the idea that they still have to make the decision to file with USCIS. And until they make that decision, the NCE does not have access to that money. So it allows the investor some time to be able to put their package together, send to USCIS, and fully decide that they want to go down this route, which is a very difficult decision to make. So all while that time, they can feel comfortable knowing that their money is in a US bank. It's their funds until they decide to actually go through the steps and file with USCIS.
Okay. James, if there is one myth you'd like to debunk on the EB-5 industry, what that would be?
I think one that I can speak to most confidently, and this actually came up on the panel that I was on, was in relationship to what we just talked about with escrow versus non-escrow. A lot of people think that escrow, from a project standpoint, will slow down the ability for the project to access those funds. That's not the case at all. What we're seeing actually is for projects that decide to go direct to NCE as the investment, we still, as a dedicated EB-5 bank, we still will require the release triggers inside of the PPM to be the exact same as if there was an escrow agreement. For investor focus and for investor safety, we want to make sure that that investor is protected. So even if you go direct to NCE, you still, as the investor, will have to prove that you have filed with USCIS to the NCE for them to access those funds. So there's no delay whatsoever inside of that. So it allows us to do our due diligence on the investor. It gives the regional center some peace of mind that there is a U.S. institution looking at these funds. So certainly I think the one that is misconstrued the most is that escrow will slow down the NCE's availability to those funds, and it's clearly just not the case.
Okay. Thank you.